Alright, so first guys, right, again, we're happy to have you guys this week, and we're hoping that, I know my dad particularly learned a lot from my experience that he used to kind of help benefit my sister a lot more. And then I know if he had known a lot of these things when I was playing, I think it would have been a little bit easier on us as a family on making the right choices and the things that we need to do to kind of take those next steps. Okay, so I'm hopefully today, between the 7 of us, that we can really help you guys and your parents kind of sift through some of the information and what the next steps are over the next couple of years. Okay, so first off, just for an introduction here, guys, right? I'm Coach Andrew. Okay, everyone knows me pretty much, right? I've known you guys. Okay, right? I'm coaching at Stony Brook again this year. I've been coaching youth hockey for 9 years now. Okay, and yeah, my goal personally is to kind of move up in the college ranks and kind of get to the Division I NCAA level, as I know Cass's role is too. So I'm kind of just like you guys, working at my goal to kind of move up the ranks and doing everything I can to get to where I want to be. So Cass, you want to go?
Yeah, for those of you that don't know me, my name's Stephen Castriota. Up until yesterday, I was the associate head coach at SUNY Cortland, but as of today, I'm the assistant coach at Hamilton College. I just got a new job, so switching roles a little bit for me, which is exciting. But yeah, my journey to where I've been it's kind of been a long road from playing and now coaching. So any questions you guys have along the way, please feel free to jump in and ask. And I'm excited to have you guys learn from us. And like Andrew said, and we talked about this morning, I think for us that are a little older and went through this process, we didn't have things like this. We now have information. So it's good for you and your parents to get as much as you possibly can out of this.
My name is Brennan Duffy. I'm from New Jersey. I grew up playing youth hockey, Avalanche, Hitmen, played juniors for Wilkes-Barre and PAL, and ended up at Stony Brook. Then I finished the year off playing pro in Danbury and heading to Roanoke and the SPHL next year to continue my hockey career, maybe 2 years.
I'm Andrew Mancini from Long Island. I grew up playing for PAL and the Gulls. I went to Cushing Academy for a year. Then I went to Canterbury School for 2 years. After that, got drafted in the first round to Danbury. Played there for a little while. I then played NCDC PAL, and now I'm playing at Stony Brook.
Yeah, guys, I'm Frank Chara. In 1993, I grew up playing for the Royals. Went over to Applecore for a year. Played a year at Suffolk, PAL in junior, then played for the Royals in junior, and then was fortunate enough to go out and play in the North American League, and then I was drafted in the USHL and played in the USHL. Won a Clark Cup there, and played 4 years at Yale University, and I'm now going on my 6th year professional playing in the ECHL. So know a lot of you guys, a lot of familiar faces, been working camps, whether at Superior or here at Dixville or all over the island since I've been 15 years old. So yeah, no, it's excited to talk to you guys.
Dominic Satimo. I'm a 2000. I'm from Long Island as well. I played most of my youth hockey at PAL along with that guy over there, Anthony. I went from here when I was like 17, my senior year of high school, back to 18U, and then I played NCDC for 2 years. And from there I got scouted from a couple schools, but SUNY Cortland was my best option. So that's where I am right now. I'm going into my sophomore year, and my major is business economics. And yeah, it's been a great time. So I hope you guys can learn something here. I hope you guys learned something this week so far.
I'm Anthony Bernardo. I'm from Ophog, not too far from here. Grew up playing at the rinks, played the PAL from when I was 7 to 20 years old. Did my whole youth career there. And then I got recruited to SUNY Cortland. Stephen recruited me. have fun and work hard.
Alright guys, again, right, and we're happy to have you guys here this week. You guys have been a pleasure. Okay, so kind of just first thing first, right, I just want to kind of touch on, right, the biggest thing is, right, what's the difference, right, between D1, D3, right, ACHA, right, there's a lot of different levels. Okay, there's a lot of hockey players out there, right, a ton of hockey players, so it's very competitive to play college hockey, guys. So in order to play college hockey, it's a privilege, and it takes a lot of work to get there, right? So at the NCAA Division I level, right, where Frankie played at Yale, right, you got 68 teams, okay? You'll have 28 skaters on a team and usually 3 to 4 goalies, right? So that's only 2,000 people, 2,100 kids in the whole country, and not just our country, right? US, Canada, imports from Europe, 2,100 kids playing NCAA Division I hockey, right? With Division III hockey, there's 84 teams, so a little bit more with those same numbers, but only 2,600 athletes. Again, US, Canada, it's not just here, right? I know especially for Cass, right, and the Suniacs, they go up to Canada all the time to recruit players to play for their schools. Okay, so you're not just competing against U.S. kids, you're competing against Canadian kids, you're competing against kids from Czech, Sweden, Finland, right? College hockey, guys, is becoming one of the top levels of hockey and one of the best routes to get to pro level, right? Guys want to come here, guys want to develop, okay? And then there's ACHA Division I, which is Stony Brook, right? Okay, 72 teams in there for the highest level of ACHA. Again, another 2,200 athletes, guys. So in total, guys, that's about 7,000 athletes every year playing college hockey. Not a lot, right, when we think about how many guys who are playing hockey. Okay, so again, when we emphasize things like habits and details and how you are on and off the ice, it's because we want you guys to be in this 7,000, because it's a very fine line between being in this 7,000 and not being in the 7,000. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. All right. Going on to just kind of, right, go through the levels a little bit more, guys, and kind of what each one's about and what the difference is, right? So at NCAA Division I, right, again, we're talking about Yale's, we're talking about Boston College, Michigan, the BUs, okay? Those schools, okay? You got overall, right, between all D1 schools, there's 170,000 athletes if we're talking football, baseball, put it all in there, right? For hockey, okay, there's part-time and full-time athletic scholarships. Each team is given 18 scholarships. So does everyone know, like, the salary cap in hockey, right, how the salary cap works, right? So on the NHL, right, I think the cap's at, what, 90 million now, right? Basically, think about it this way. For college coaches, these scholarships are their salary cap. So let's say, for argument's sake, right, again, just to give you guys simple numbers, for 1 year of Yale, it's $1,000. Obviously, it's a lot more than that, okay? But it's $1,000. So each college coach every year, what's his salary cap? Where's the math guy? $18,000 a year. So that means
He's definitely not a Yale guy.
that means, guys, at this level, right, that coach only has $18,000 to give away. If there's 30 guys on the team, is everyone getting a full ride? No. Right? So, what does that mean? Do well in school. Right? Because if you can get an academic scholarship, and then the coach can give you half the scholarship, now you're still going to school for free.
Hey guys, one thing I'll touch on too real quick is just, so there's 68 Division I teams, right? So the Ivy League schools, there's 6. So Yale, Harvard, Princeton, Cornell, Brown, Dartmouth, right? They don't give athletic scholarships, 0. So you get 0 money athletically if you want to go to one of those 6 schools, right? So you have to be good in school. They give it academic money, they give grants, they give all different things like that to try and lower the cost, but you do not get an athletic scholarship if you want to go to 6 of those schools. So if you're not a good student, and hey, some of us aren't, right? But if you're not a good student, you you can take 6 schools off your list right away. So, just so we're clear.
Okay, yeah, that's a great point. And again, I know me and Cass and Frankie, we played with some really good hockey players when we were younger. Guys that probably could have played D1 hockey, and because their grades weren't great, unfortunately, their options went from here to here very quickly. Does that make sense? Okay, and then again, guys, for just location, right? Most D1 schools are Midwest, Northeast. Okay, kind of just to keep that in mind, right? I know Arizona State and Colorado College, right? Air Force, you have a couple of Western schools, but for the most part, they're up in New England, right? Over in Midwest, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, right? NCAA D3, so there is no NCAA Division II hockey, right? Other sports have Division II. Hockey, it's D1 or D3 at the NCAA level, guys. For NCAA Division III, the difference between the two, right? Castiata cannot give out scholarships athletically. Okay? So, D3 hockey, there's no athletic scholarships. So, to go back to the same point Frankie just made, maybe you're not a Division I hockey player. No big deal, right? Again, there's only 2,100 Division I hockey players in the country. So now you're a D3 hockey player, right? But you're not a good student, right? Now all of a sudden, guys, your options just keep going away, right? If you're a family that maybe requires financial aid and help, right? You'll be able to get financial aid. But if you need more money, guys, do well in school, because there's always ways to get you guys money if you're good students, okay, and all of that. Does that make sense? So again, difference between D1, D3, biggest difference, okay, is the athletic scholarships. There is no athletic scholarships for NCAA Division III. Again, locations predominantly Northeast and Midwest, right? I'm going to touch on an important point that kind of came into my situation later going into D3. And then ACHA Division I, right? That's our Stony Brook guys. Okay, again, no athletic scholarships, okay? The difference, I would say, between NCAA Division III and ACHA, guys, the biggest thing is ACHA are usually bigger universities, right? So Stony Brook, right? Arizona, okay? Bigger schools. NCAA Division III, a lot of liberal arts colleges, a little bit smaller schools, right? Okay? And again, right, a little bit higher level of play here, but ACHA Division I know the Stony Brook guys can talk, right? It's a lot of fun. We go play in front of a lot of people a lot of times, and we're recruiting the same guys Cass is recruiting year in, year out. But again, guys, just to give you a heads up, we probably lost 5 recruits at Stony Brook this year because I could not get them into Stony Brook because they didn't have the grades. 5 good hockey players, right? We even have pull in the admissions department. Good pull. They didn't have even close to enough grades that we could fight for them and get them in. So do well in school. Don't limit your options. Everyone good on that? Anybody else want anything else to add? Okay, perfect, guys. Okay, so the path. Okay, this is a big one, right? Because I know a lot of you guys when you're young, right? Especially Long Island guys for some reason, right? It's prep school, prep school, prep school. Want to go to prep school, want to go to prep school. And I'll then see me talk a little bit about prep school in a little bit, right? But again, guys, for the most part, if you want to play college hockey, you can go to prep school. So Mancini went to prep school, but still had to play juniors after, right? So juniors, guys, is almost a requirement to play college hockey. You're going to go there, you're going to learn, you're going to develop, you're going to get bigger and stronger. That's huge. Okay, you're going to have 2-3 years to really grow as a hockey player, but also grow as an athlete. Okay, right? So kind of just go into this. Okay, we got 3 tiers in America. Okay, as far as juniors go. Tier 1, there's only one Tier 1 league in the whole country, and that's the USHL. Right, Frankie played for Dubuque in the USHL, okay, won a national championship, okay, right? His coach is now coaching in the NHL. Yes, okay, right? So USHL, with USHL, right, it's free, everything's paid for, pretty much. You play in the USHL, most of those guys go play Division I hockey, and some of those guys actually go to play pro. So Frankie, I don't know if you want to just comment a little bit more on your experience with USHL.
Yeah, so guys, so I played when I was, after high school or my last 2 years in high school, I played probably what would be the equivalent of Premier Hockey, I would say. The league doesn't even exist anymore. That's how long ago it was, right? But anyway, I was, 18, 19 years old. I went out to the USHL. I went out to Dubuque. You live with a built family, right? So they set you up with a family. They try and put you with like a family that has like similar interests as you, so that way it makes it as comfortable for you as possible moving away from home. It's a big adjustment. I'm an only child, so it was hard for me moving away from home, but it made my adjustment that much easier, right? You get there, and you could be the best player in your region, the best player, on Long Island. Well, guess what? Every player there is the best player where they are, right? So it's a big adjustment in regards to, you have to show up every day. You have to be dialed in for practice. You can't mess up reps, because if you do and you're not all in, you're not bought in, well, guess what? They're going to pick up another guy and you'll be out the door and on your way, right? But you're playing in front of 3,000 to 5,000 fans a night. Some buildings are bigger, 10,000, 12,000, and they get those pretty regularly. You travel all around the Midwest. You're on buses, you're with the guys, you practice in the morning. There's very few high school students that are out there, and if you are, you're taking classes in the morning, you're coming to practice, you're going home, you're doing all your schoolwork, right? So for me, I was out of high school, so my focus was on hockey. I would go to the rink in the morning, I'd check in, hang out, go home, go back to the rink for practice, and then you're working out 2-3 days a week, right? You play Friday, Saturdays predominantly. You're working out Monday, Tuesday, maybe an off day Wednesday, a little maintenance, whatever. And then Thursday, you're getting ready for the game, play Friday, Saturday. So it's a big schedule. It's 72 games, or now it might be a little bit less, plus playoffs, right? So it's a big commitment. It's a big commitment. Again, you're moving away from home. You're moving away from your friends. It's a little uncomfortable at times, but you get used to it. You hang out with the guys all the time. It's a great experience. I have nothing but good things to say about it. And like Coach Andrew said, you're getting coached by the best, right? So my coach, Jim Montgomery, is now the new head coach of the Boston Bruins, right? So when I was with him, he was my coach in Dubuque. Then that year, he was fortunate enough to take the Denver job in the NCAA. Went 4 years at Denver. Denver was a little bit less than what they had been as of a powerhouse in years past. He took them from the bottom, basically, won a national championship in 4 years at the college level. He then got a job in the NHL, was an assistant coach for a little bit, and now he's the head coach of the Boston Bruins, right? So you're getting coached by the best, you're getting the best facilities, you're getting to play in front of 5,000 people, whatever it might be. It's a true, for an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid, it's an unbelievable experience. It's as close as you're going to get to the NHL at the junior level. So.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. Okay, and I guess, guys, right? The biggest thing for this league, right, again, is these guys are getting taken from teams that are going to nationals, right? So again, and we'll talk about it later again, right? As much as you want to focus on yourself, right? Make sure you're helping your team have success. Because when your teams go to good things and go to good tournaments, you're going to get seen by the best, right? Then we have Tier 2, okay? Tier 2 is the NA, right? Frankie also played there, okay? Then we have the NCDC, right? Anthony, right? Dom, Mancini, Pepe, right? What it is now, right? Play the NCDC guys, right? So PAL has an NCDC team right here on the island, okay? Mark Koo is the coach, okay? Big thing for this, guys, right? It's just like the next step down, just like anything else, right? If this is the NHL, this is the AHL, okay? Right? And again, free tuition, don't have to pay for these junior leagues. And again, I would say the NA guys in the NA, right? The top NA guys are still getting recruited to Division 1, okay? I would say second half of the NA guys and the NCDC guys are getting recruited to D3 or getting recruited to us in the ACHA, right? So I think that's how kind of that pecking order works. NCDC guys, if you guys want to comment anything on your experience with PAL or anything to add? Anthony?
Yeah, NCDC, I mean, it's a great league. I mean, it's like right there with the NA. I think the NA is a little bit better, especially last year. I mean, it's pretty close. I can't really say. Never played in the NA. My brother played in the NA this past year as a rookie. Did really well. He got like 40 points as a D-man, all rookie team. And I mean, if he was here, he would tell you a lot about it and how much fun he had. The team didn't do too well, but they have another year and he's going to go back there. But they play in front of a lot of fans. Not as much as USHL, but good amount of people, and you get treated like pros, especially NCDC. After games, you get food. Same thing at the college level. And yeah, you're right there. So it's good two leagues, and to be there and to play there is an honor, and just keep striving for a college level from there.
There it is. And then again, guys, then we have our tier 3. So big difference, right? So just like the NCAA, we had difference between NCAA, ACHA, D1, D3, right? Tier 3 leagues, right? It's pay to play, right? So your parents, right? Parents, you're paying for youth hockey now. Okay, USHL, no more payments. NA, NCDC, no more payments. Okay, Tier 3 juniors, right? EHL, NA3, the Whistle, USPHL, right? Those are pay-to-play leagues. Okay, now, right? Does that mean if you don't go to one of these leagues, you shouldn't go to that league just because you have to pay? Absolutely not, right? Because again, if you're playing in the NA3, you may have an opportunity to play 1 year in the NA3, and then the next year get to go to the NA. If you're playing for the premier team at PAL, maybe next year you're going to get to play for the NCDC team at PAL. Okay? EHL, right? And Cass, I'm going to let you comment on this because we talk about this all the time. The EHL, though, pay-to-play league, guys, if you want to play college hockey and you want to play D3 hockey, just go play in the EHL. Right? And I know we and Cass talk about it all the time. You want to quickly comment, Cass, on it?
Yeah, those leagues are predominantly Division III leagues or ACHA leagues, but if you take a look and you do your research into what he said, for example, the EHL, take a look at their commitment list. Pretty much every kid in that league is going to play college hockey, whether it's at Division III level or the ACHA Division I level. And it's important when you go to those leagues to find the right fit for you personally, parents, kids, whoever's making those decisions at that time. Make sure you do your research into what teams you go to, what coaches you guys are talking to. Look at their track records, their past history, where they're sending kids, how their kids are doing at the next level, because when you go to those leagues at 18 or 19 or you're playing your 20-year-old year as you get older, you want to find teams and coaches that are going to develop you as players individually. Obviously you want to have some team success, but you got to be able to get better and make sure they're getting you ready to compete at the next level. And I think that's the most important thing as a coaching perspective. When we're looking at these leagues and we're looking at these teams and we're talking to coaches that we trust, that we know develop players, I think it comes down to the research that the parents and the families and the kids do make those decisions. And I think that's most important, not just going out on a whim because this guy called you first or whatever the case may be. Make sure you do your research into these teams and these leagues to find the best fit. It might not be the best fit for you, for your buddy, but it could be the best fit for you and your future. And I think that's important as you start looking at these decisions as you get older.
Okay. Now, guys, kind of the biggest thing here, right? I'm gonna let Cass talk about this one more. Okay, is right? You guys can go play juniors in Canada as long as it's not the Quebec Major Junior League, OHL, or the WHL. Okay, if you go play in one of those 3 leagues, okay, you are not allowed to play NCAA or ACHA college hockey. Okay, as you get paid in those leagues. Okay, so that voids your right. So basically, if you take that route, okay, right, you're kind of signing off that you're all in on playing in the NHL or playing pro hockey, okay, because you're giving away your right to play college hockey. So, right, OHL, Quebec Major Junior, and WHL, right, are the Canadian leagues that don't allow you to play hockey. However, there are leagues in Canada that allow you to play college hockey in junior leagues, okay? They're probably the next step down, right? So you have the BCHL, I would say, is right along the lines of the NA here. Okay, so a lot of the BCHL guys, that's all the way out in British Columbia, guys, on the west coast of Canada. A lot of the British Columbia BCHL guys are getting recruited to play Division I. would say if you look at a Division I team, there's probably 3 or 4 on each team.
I know especially when I was in Danbury, a lot of the guys from the BCHL would also move back and forth between the NA and the BC. Like a lot of people probably had like 6 or 7 guys that played in the BC for a year, came down to the all guys that left after the first year went to go play in the BC. So they very well work hand in hand with each other.
Yeah. And then again, we have the NOJ, OJ, CCHL, and SJHL guys. And again, guys, right, these are good leagues, especially for the SUNYAC, right? So again, state schools, guys, are huge, right? Especially as people from New York, okay? Tuition, I went to Stony Brook, right? Graduated with a mechanical engineering degree, right? I know these guys are going to Portland, Mancini, right? New York guy going to Stony Brook, right? They're paying pennies compared to other colleges, Okay, so financially, as families and parents and players, right? I have no student loans, zero. I get to drive around a brand new truck every day, right? Because I have a job and I have zero student loans and I have one of the best engineering degrees from a great school. Okay, these guys are gonna walk out with minimal to no student loans. When they get out and get a job, not only did they get to play college hockey and live out their dream of playing college hockey, but they made a good financial decision for their next steps in life after hockey, right? So, I know Cass, and I'll let Cass comment on these 4 leagues just because he's up there recruiting a little bit more up there. Okay, these are great for SUNYAC, so I know Cass, you want to talk about it just a little bit?
Yeah, from where I was coaching at Portland for the last 4 years, so these guys know, like, I'd say half of our team is probably from the OJ. Whether they used to have a team in Buffalo, it's no longer there for right now until they fix all the COVID restrictions from crossing the border. But these leagues are highly recruited by coaches in the States, whether that's at the Division I level or the Division III level. They do a really good job up there, but it's the same thing. Like if parents are sending their kids across the border, make sure you're doing your research into who you're going to be playing for, where you're going to be located, and things of that nature. These leagues now you have to pay to play in most of these leagues up there in Canada. It's no longer free. It's not as much as junior hockey in America, but there still are some fees, and they only allow certain amount of Americans, I should say, on each team. I'm not familiar with how many there is, but that's again more research parents and you kids got to do as you start getting older and have to make these decisions. But no, they're great leagues. They're comparable to some of these leagues in the States, and they produce pretty good college hockey players coming down from them.
Guys, and again, you guys have this picture in your book here. Okay, basically it's just lines to leagues and kind of just help you visualize, right? So you kind of can see the USHL, BCHL, right? That's our road to Division I, right? Again, the NA, NCDC has opportunities to go D1, right? Really can go to D3 and ACHA, right? And you have the OJ, NOJ, CCSJ, right? D3, right? ACHL, and then again, EHL is a big D3 league, right? And those other leagues can all help you kind of get to the ACHA. But again, I think what Cass said, it's about finding the right fit for you as an individual, okay? So now going into the next thing here, right, guys? This will run through quick, right? Because this is just, again, college coaches know these rules, right? And these are just the rules for NCAA, right? As coaches, right, especially Cass, right? He has guidelines, he has compliance, right? He can't break that, right? You see it all the time in football. Teams getting suspended for a year, can't go to the playoffs, right? Guys getting fined, all these things. It's because they're usually breaking rules like this, right? So, going on the next one, right? So again, just to kind of give you guys a time frame of when you guys can start getting recruited. How many guys were in 9th grade last year? Raise your hand. So you guys are going into 10th grade, right, this year. Okay? So, guys who just raised your hand, okay? Prior till January 1st, 2023, okay? Right? You guys can't have any conversations, right, about you coming and playing for a school until January. Okay, no conversations, right? We can have conversations like this where we're talking to you, right? But Casciata can't go to Copy and go, hey, you want to come play for Portland in a couple of years, right? That's not allowed. That's how Casciata gets in trouble, right? You guys can visit schools, okay? Right? You guys can receive materials. So again, if I gave you something that said, you know, here's something about Portland, that's okay, right? Then after January 1st of 2023, right? Now we can talk to you guys. Right? Casciata can text Copy, right? I can text you guys, right? You guys are now able to have conversations and you're able to have unofficial visits, okay? So unofficial visits, right? That's a term in the college world, okay? It's a very specific thing. We're not going to go through it too much. But again, so after January 1st, for all my guys going into sophomore year, right? Okay? He can talk to you guys, right? A Division I guy can talk to you guys. Up till then, you guys can send emails, everything, but if you don't get a response, understand why you may not be getting a response is because there are rules that need to be followed. Next one. Okay, perfect. Right, so for grade 11, right, so who's going into their junior year? Good, right, that's my 06 is going into my junior year, right? Okay, so before August, right, so now basically we're past this date now for you guys, right? You guys can begin scheduling official visits, right? So if a coach likes you, right, you guys can get official visits. You guys can have verbal commits, right? So if BC went up to Nealon, they can go to Nealon like, hey, we're gonna verbally commit Nealon to come play for us in 2025, all right, for argument's sake, right? Okay, and then as soon as we get to grade 12, and I don't think anyone here is going into their senior year, okay, you can sign your national letter of intent, okay, right? Verbal commits are verbal, okay? They're not binding contracts. So, Mancini, can you tell the story about the kid that was in Danbury this year that you told me on the bus?
Yeah.
Stand up, listen to this story, guys, because again, verbal commits are not binding contracts. So this is a good story that Mancini told me during the year. So listen up, this is important.
So we had this kid that played for collegiate before COVID at BCHL, and because of COVID, they shut down the border, so he had to leave. In the NOLA last year, they had like a dispersal draft, so all the kids that played in the BC or USHL, they had an opportunity to go that were playing, go to different leagues in the NOL. So they had the draft. He got picked to come to Danbury, and he was a top D, like in the BC. He led the league in points for D. Did the same in the North American League. Came to Danbury, led our entire division in points as a defenseman. But the biggest thing is he had a really bad attitude. So like I think he had 130 penalty minutes till December, and we played 7 games up to December because of COVID, like things getting shut down and whatnot. So in that time span, he had multiple 2 and 10, 300 game suspensions. He was on a full ride to Merrimack, so they told him full ride, no pay, like don't worry about it. He got 4 for 4. And then one day we were on a bus trip to play the Generals. We were still on the bus, and the coach gave him a call, and was just like, and it was just right before he was going to sign his NLI. And he was like, look, you have 120 penalty minutes. Like, we're telling you right now that we don't want you. Like, not a single Division I school wants you. So he decoded, like, that second was done, like, left in space, and he was his last year as an age out. So right before he's going to sign his NLI, they told him, we'll see you later. And then from that point on to, like, the end of Danbury, no team wanted him. He said all the time, like, he tried to talk to schools, no one would answer him because they knew how he was as a character. At the end of the year, and then he's at UMass Boston now. So he's playing D3. He was a high end, had every Division I school knocking on his door. Could have went anywhere. He was a great, student, had really good grades, but he had 120 penalty minutes, would scream out refs, had a bad attitude off the ice, would get in trouble a lot, and lost a full ride to a hockey school because he decided to mess around and didn't really care about it. So.
Yeah, right. So that's the reality, guys. Right? I mean, that's why again I get on some of you guys a lot about doing things the right way, because when they come knocking, I want them to knock, right? You to answer and get to go do what you want to do, okay? Because again, a verbal commit is not a binding contract, so you can lose a verbal commit if you're not doing things the right way. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Now, with all that being said, guys, right? To my guys going into their senior year, don't stress, okay? Because most of the guys aren't committing to play college hockey until you play junior hockey anyway, okay? So don't feel like out of the loop here, right? The majority of the guys, there are some that will commit before, but don't stress out for you.
Yeah, I'll touch on that as well, and then we'll talk about like just the path and stuff, different routes you take. But like we spoke about Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. I played Tier 3 up until I was a senior in high school. Okay, I knew I had to go away and play junior. I developed, I got better. I went to play the North American League, and then I went and played the USHL, okay? So just because you're playing Tier 3 as a junior or a senior, if that's the case, right, it's not the end-all be-all, right? I didn't start talking to a school. I was applying to colleges, and I was just gonna go play club, academically, try and get as much academic money as I can and just go away and enjoy college. But my parents, I sat down with them, I spoke to them, and I was like, no, this is what I want to do. I want to try and play Division I, right? And I was fortunate enough to get there. But at the end of the day, it's not the end all be all.
Even guys that play like the NA3, I know there's a rule in the NA now, like you have to sign a certain amount of guys from the NA3 team. So a lot of NA teams will have an NA3 team, so you'll see like all the time guys signing tenders and getting drafted because it is a rule. So like if you play in the NA3, it's Tier 3, and you might look at it and turn your head to it. But if you dominate, you will play for that team's NA team 100%.
I also, that was the other point I wanted to make. I didn't talk to a Division I school until I was 19 years old, right? So I was out of school for 2 years before I even spoke to a Division I school. So just because you're not talking to them at, you know, if you're in 2006, I think we all, like, you guys all know James Higgins, right? James Higgins is committed to Harvard. Like, all right, he's, you know, he's a bit of an anomaly, right? But like, he's talking to schools his junior year of high school, right? But I didn't talk to a school until I was 4 years past that. I was 2 years out of school already before I even spoke to a Division I school. So just because you're not talking to them right now doesn't mean that, you know, in a couple of years, if you continue to develop, and you continue to get better and progress in your game, that you won't be talking to those schools in a couple of years.
Right, so, and again, guys, so I kind of just wrote on the bottom here, right? You notice, right? You can tell already here, right? A lot of different paths, right? So what was right for Frankie wasn't right for Mancini. What is right for Higgins is not right for, right, somebody else in this room, right? So worry about yourself and stick with it, okay? Just to give you kind of a layout, right? So again, right, 14, Bantam Major, right? You guys will go to some showcases this year. You guys will go to nationals if you guys get to make it. If you go to state camp and national camp as Bantams, right? There will be college coaches there starting to look at you. Will they commit you? No. But they are starting to make their list, right? So again, for NCAA Division I, Frankie was 19 when he started talking to schools, right? And again, I would say you guys start looking at 14 here, right? And then it can go all the way to as late as 19. For D3 and ACHA, so for me and Cass, to be honest with you guys, if you're not 19 and 20, we are not even talking to you. We're not even thinking about you. So for this upcoming season, we have kids born in 2001 and 2002 coming in to play for Stony Brook. And I know it's the same for Portland. Next year, we will be recruiting kids born in 2002 and 2003 for the NCAA Division III and ACHA level. Yes? Ask us why it's that way. We don't know. It's just how it is. It's how it's done. So again, D3, ACHA, right guys? It's 1920. Right? It's your last 2 years of junior hockey. We got it? So again, a little patience here. Good. Okay. So now guys, just a couple of steps and tips that if you guys take to heart, hopefully as families, parents, and guys, this should be a little bit easier for you, right? So number one, and I think we've mentioned this like 3 times already, you gotta do well in school. Gotta do well in school, right? Because again, that Division I athletic scholarship may only be a quarter scholarship, half scholarship, right? If you want to get into Stony Brook, just because you can put the puck in the net does not mean we can get you into Stony Brook to play hockey, right? You need to do well in school. And again, there's life after hockey, guys. So do well in school. Find what interests you. So not only are you successful and you're opening up hockey doors, but when you're done, okay, you're gonna have opportunities to be successful in life.
Even to piggyback off of like academics, and like sometimes like even through like my experience, I went to St. Anthony's for 2 years before I went away to prep school. But like even like, you know, there have been times in like a quarter or a class or whatever it was that like be like, oh, like, you know, you're taking off or slacking off or whatever you say, yeah, it's one class, it's not a big deal. So like for me, I remember when I was in prep school, like I talked to a lot of different NESCAC schools, so like Bowdoin, Hamilton, Trinity, and all those schools. And I remember after I was leaving Danbury, I was going to go play at Bowdoin. But just because I had good grades after, like I had, you know, high 3.8 GPA, really good SAT score, but like minusculely, they looked at my quarters on my GPA and they were like, why this quarter you had a 75? And that was past at the time. They looked at a 75 and they're like, that's not good enough. And I couldn't go to a school like Bowdoin or a school like Trinity because of literally breaking down minuscule things as up to like quarters, classes, asking why I failed classes. So it's not just overall what you do. It's literally every class, every quarter, like you need to do well. Because you'll just start closing doors. And if you guys aren't doing well now, going into your junior, senior year, and you failed a quarter or you just passed with the exact grade, all those like high-end NESCAC schools, like they're gonna pass on you.
Okay. That's great, John, right? Big one for me, okay, is worry about yourself. Me and Cass go to our power play tournaments in the summer, and we love you guys and we love your parents. But I don't care what the other kid is doing or where your buddy's going to play. I'm here to coach you guys and to develop you guys here. And as an individual, you should just worry about what you're doing. Okay? Because what you're doing goes a long way. And there's guys in here, and they know who they are, who I've seen in 2-3 years take giant steps. Because they don't care where they're playing, who they're playing for, who they're playing with. They go out every day. They're good people. They're good teammates. They work hard every day to get better. They're supportive teammates, and they help their team get better. They don't care whose line they're on. They don't care who they're playing against. If it's the best team in the country or the worst team in the country, they bring it every day. They don't care if they're playing on the third line for 5 minutes or the first line with power play for 20. They're going to go out for those 5 minutes if they're on the third line and give everything they got. And trust me, we notice that. Real hockey coaches know the difference. So don't worry about what line you're on, who you're playing for, who you're playing against, who you're playing with. Look inward, because usually, guys, there's a lot of things that yourself you can work on. Find ways to get better, and just whatever situation you're in, make the best of it. Because it's a very fluid thing. Things are going to change. Guys are going to get bigger, get stronger. Guys are going to leave, right? Get girlfriends and stop playing hockey completely, okay? We see that happen all the time, okay? Right? Worry about yourself. Worry about getting better. Okay, big one for me. Okay, when you guys go home, you guys all have technical skills. Go make a YouTube channel, put it on private. Alright? Make a highlight video, put it on the YouTube channel. So that way when you write emails to coaches, you link the YouTube channel, little highlight video, maybe it's a couple of your shifts from the game before, right? No one else can see it, right? None of your buddies can see it, right? Private, send it out, easy access, they get a little initial glimpse of you, and now they go, okay, maybe I'll go to a game and watch this kid now.
Yeah, guys, I'm sure we'll touch on it too, but like YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, social media is huge, right? I'm sure you all have it. Snapchat, whatever it is. Coaches, I'm sure Cash, Maggie, like coaches will check your profiles on Instagram. They'll check Twitter. They'll check all this stuff. There's an 05, I won't say his name, there's an 05 who's committed to Northeastern, one of the best players in the country, right? Committed to Northeastern. His buddy put up a picture of him doing something stupid on Twitter, decommitted from Northeastern, and hasn't gotten a call from a junior team, hasn't gotten a call from another Division I school, right? So everything you do, everything you put up on social media, that all matters, okay? So think before you hit that send button, think before you do it.
Great point, guys. Okay, but again, you guys, right? I know Nicholas, right? Your YouTube videos are awesome, right? So again, right? Guys know how to do it, use it, utilize it. Okay. Number 4, and I'm gonna speak on this personally. Okay. List the non-negotiables. So what do you want? Right? Don't just make it about hockey. Right? What major are you looking for? What kind of school are you looking for? Are you looking for a school where it's warm? Because then if you're looking for a school that's warm, guys, go play in the ACHL, go play for Arizona State. Okay. You'll have a lot of fun. Okay? If you're looking for a price point, right? Maybe a SUNYAC school is good, right? But you and your family need to sit down and find what fits best for you. I told you, right? I graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering, okay? That was very important to me. That's what I wanted to go to school for when I was 10, right? I wanted to build roller coasters. That was the dream when I was 10. So, right, I needed to go to school to be an engineer, okay? Right, as I'm going through juniors, right, it looked like D3 level of hockey was probably the best fit for me hockey-wise. Do you know how many schools have engineering at the D3 level? 2. Okay, we said before, what are there, 68 schools? Okay, 84 teams at D3. I had 2 choices, right? So for me, right, again, D3 would have been the right fit for me hockey-wise, but because I listed my non-negotiables and things I wanted to do, now all of a sudden the picture is very clear that there was only a couple schools at the D3 level for me. Does that make sense? Okay, so again, if that may be the case, look into these schools, because again, maybe in a CHA school, right, with a really good team like Stony Brook, guys. We go to nationals every year. Honestly, we got banged out by an NCAA Division I team. They're literally moving up to NCAA Division I this year in Lindenwood. Okay, we won a conference championship, played in front of 5,000, 4,000 people in Ohio, Liberty, screaming fans at Adrian, had a lot of fun this year, right? Get treated like professionals over there, okay? But again, for me, I know, and guys on our team with kids early, he's going to school for mechanical engineering, that's a good fit for him. So list out the things you need as a family, things you want as an individual, because it's gonna kind of figure out where you fit. Right? Then from there, make a list of 5 schools, at least 5. You can have 100, I don't care. At each level, right? Then, right, have an open mind, right? So, Noel, what's your dream school, buddy?
Boston College.
Boston College, awesome. Boston College, right? Maybe, right? He's set on Boston College. Maybe Minnesota picks up the phone and calls Noel and go, hey, like, we want you to come play for us, right? Noel had never even thought about Minnesota maybe, right? But now they come knocking on the door. Have an open mind, right? Because again, right, maybe Noel steps on campus at Boston College and goes, oh, this isn't for me. Happens all the time, guys, okay? So you need to have an open mind. Okay, because again, what may be the best fit for you may not be the best fit for Flinner, right, or Joey, right? Again, what's about you and your family, okay? Then, right, if you go online, there's recruitment forms, guys. So if you go on Portland's website for their hockey team, Stony Brook, there's a recruitment form. Fill it out, put in your information. That gets sent to the coaches, gets put in a database. Okay, now you're in the database, right? Then send an email to these coaches. Like I said before, copy, right? If you send an email to a coach now, because you're not in that period, right? He may not respond to you, right? But I'll tell you what, we do get it, we do read them, okay? Just to give you an example, guys who are at Junior Charter Cup this weekend with me and Cass, raise your hand. Yep, my 07s, right? Okay, right, I'm there to coach you guys, okay? I got 2 emails the weekend before, all right? Coach Garrow called me, hey, I got 2 emails. Can you go look at these kids? Absolutely. You guys didn't know that, right? But now I'm there looking at guys, right, without you guys even knowing because they sent the email to me, right? That's it. It's as simple as that, right? Whether I like them or not after the end of the day, right? Now I walked over to the rink at Canton after you guys were playing, walked over to the other rink and watched a little bit of his game. Doesn't take a lot to send an email, right? But it puts you in front of us, okay? Important, keep a log of all these communications, right? As you're going through this, guys, you may get a text, get an email. Now all of a sudden you get 3 texts here, 2 texts here. There's a lot going on. Be organized, keep a log. And there's an example in the end of your books here, okay? Make sure you always answer coaches, right? This weekend, a couple of our 07s at power play got pulled out by an academy, right? Okay? Whether they wanted to go to the academy or not, when that guy hands you his business card, just send him a thank you text. It doesn't take a lot. It's respectful. It's common courtesy. And you never know where that guy's next job is. Maybe that guy next year does a great job at the academy. Now he's an assistant at Boston College. Now because you were a good player and respectful and you did the right thing, he goes, oh, you know, that Noel kid, he didn't come to the academy, but he's really respectful, really nice, I really liked him as a player. Let me come back to him. Maybe you would like to go to BC.
Yeah. Aside from that too, like when coaches text you, like I even have friends that like playing for juniors and stuff like that would get texts from schools, whether, you know, from B3 down or whatever it is, and they would look at it and they would laugh at it. And they would sit back and say, like, why am I gonna answer this? And like that frustrates, like, I know, like me, I'm sure like you guys as well, because it's like, why are you gonna close doors? Like you never know, like Beck said, you never know where guys are gonna end up. I mean, like, for example, like I remember early in prep school, I went to go tour Arcadia, and the guy ended up being at Denver for a while, won a national championship right at Denver, and knows every single Division I school in the league. And I remember sitting down, and he thanked me, because half of the guys in prep school, like even guys on my team, he said not a single one answered me. And like that's what I'm sure you guys do, like guys, like if you text or whatever, don't answer, like it's disrespectful, and it shows the character that you are. And that obviously gets around. Every college coach knows each other. Like they all talk. Whether it's D1 down to ACHA, like they all talk. So like, if you're not answering texts and you think that like, you know, your head's that big, you won't go anywhere.
Yeah, guys, and on that talking point, again, right? Even this year, we brought in a couple players. As soon as I knew we were bringing them in, I picked up the phone and called Castriata and said, hey, I know this guy played against you. What do you think? What is his character like? Then I picked up the phone and I called his youth coach. And I said, hey, how is this kid as an individual? Okay? Right? We talk to your coaches. It's important. We need to know what kind of people we're getting. Okay? Right? Big one. You're here. You're working your butts off for 4 days here. The summer and off season is not a time to just be done. If that's what you want to do, great, but you're not going to play college hockey then. Okay? Off season doesn't mean you need to skate every day. But off season means that if at the end of the year your coach goes, hey, you got to get a little bit bigger and stronger, then you better be in the gym 5 days a week working your butt off from the time the season ends to the time the season starts again. Right? You guys go to these summer showcases. My favorite is when your parents go, oh, he hasn't skated in like 3 weeks. He hasn't skated in like a month. Well, now you come to a summer showcase to showcase yourself in some of these junior coaches and these college coaches, and you just told me you haven't skated in a month? Are you going to showcase yourself the best possible way? No, right? So look, there's times for breaks, right? There's times to go take a week and go on vacation with your family and enjoy it, right? There's a time to go hang out with your buddies on a Saturday night, right? But I told you at the beginning of the week, get your stuff done before 12 o'clock, okay? Get your stuff done before 12 o'clock, and you'll see you're going to have a lot of success. But again, off-season, spring, summer, guys, is time to go to showcases and showcase yourself. Time to skate once, twice a week. Maybe you need to work on your skating. Go take private skating lessons. I don't care if you're 16 years old. Go get better. You got Connor McDavid, the best skater in the world, still going to his skating coach. Okay? You got Sidney Crosby, right? As whether you like him or not, the guy shows up year after year and gives his team a chance to win a Stanley Cup. Every summer, he's just outworking everybody else. He doesn't need to do that anymore. He's proven he's the best of the best. He's made millions of dollars, but he wants it. He wants to be the best. He doesn't take off. Spring and summer needs to be, you guys need to focus, put together a plan, right? And I think that's important, parents. Put together a plan. Don't just go skate with 100 coaches. If you need to work on your skating, find a good skating coach and focus on that. If you need to work on your shot, find a good shooting coach and focus on that. Find skills to get better at so that at the end of the summer you actually got better. Don't just go to 300 clinics. Because you're going to these clinics, but again, they're running drills that maybe you don't need to work on. Right? So have a plan. Figure out what you need to get better at. Right? Again, you guys came here to gain information. Right? Come to camps like this too. Do your research on stuff like this where you're getting coached by guys who know what they're doing. Right? Care about your development and you're getting challenged. Got it? Okay. Patience, we talked about that before, right? Frankie said it, right? 19 D1 schools came. Have patience, right? Ask a lot of questions. I hope you guys have some questions after. And then Cass has touched on this point a lot. Do your own research. Got it? Research, research, research. Okay? Right? I'm not going to go through the email stuff. You guys can kind of make sure you guys are doing it. But the rules for the email, guys, are very similar to a text message. Make sure you're answering them. Make sure you're professional. Please, thank yous. Okay? When you're writing your emails, include what year you graduate, who you play for. I know it sounds crazy, but it's little things like that that go a long way. Everyone here should have an Elite Prospects, but you don't have to do anything. If you go on eliteprospects.com and look up your name, right, it will pop up. Okay? Copy that link, send it to the coaches so they can see your stats and stuff. Okay? And then, Dylan, right, we go to the example, the email, right? Right? Okay, again, there's an email you guys can literally copy and paste into this email. Right? Take it out, put your name in there, put your school, it's done for you. Nice and easy, send them out. Okay?
Make sure you change the coach's name when you email them.
Yeah, that's important.
That's probably the most important thing, because when we start texting in the group chat of who sent the same email. 7 of us Uniac coaches, so no, all joking aside, just proofread the emails. I know where I worked, I responded to every single email that came across my desk. So you don't just get ignored. scouts back from a real person. You do get put in a database that, and when you're older or whatever the case may be, your name comes back up and you're already in the system. So they are important.
Okay, and again, guys, there's just examples of the logs, okay, at the end of the book, right? Again, basically we did this with my sister when she was going through the Division I process for gymnastics, right? She put down her 5 schools, right? She'd list them out. When she talked to a coach, she'd keep track of it. When she'd figure out big one, right, especially at the D1 level, right? So for my sister, she had 4 offers, okay? 4 full rides, okay? So now she has to make a decision, right? That's hard, okay? Big thing to keep in mind, especially at the D1, D3 level, if you're stuck making a decision, look and see how many seniors they have. Look to see how big their recruiting class is. Because you want to go to these places and do what, guys? You want to play, right? Because not everyone gets to play. Some guys get to sit up in the stands with their dress clothes still on. Okay? So for my sister, right, we looked and saw, okay, well, I was only graduating 2 girls. So if she comes in as a freshman, her chances to compete as a freshman aren't as good as where she ultimately went to Central Michigan, where they were graduating a lot of girls. Their freshman class was 7 girls, and she got to come in and compete right away and perform right away. Right? So when you're making these decisions, these are things, again, that is part of the research aspect as parents and players to put in. Okay, and then the last one, guys, is just, again, if you get a text from a coach, just make note of it, not a text. If you send an email, coach, just make note of it. Okay? So before we open for questions, guys over here, anything you guys want to add or comment on that we didn't really touch base?
Not really, we didn't touch base on, guys, but it's important for you guys to, when you show up at the rink, just be respectful. If you see something on the ground, pick it up. Don't just walk past it. You know, say hello, be polite, right? For example, you know, my best friend from growing up is now the assistant coach at Yale. He had a good career, played in the NHL for a bit. He's my best friend from growing up, right? You know, if I see, you know, one of you guys getting recruited or something like that, I'm skating with you over the summer, you know, you're being, you know, disrespectful, or you're not doing things the right way around here, and I get a text from him, well, I'm not going to lie for you. You know what I mean? Like, the hockey world is so small that it's very important for you guys when you show up around the rink. Just not only do you have to be a good hockey player, you got to be a good person as well, right? So again, just to my point, it's a very small world. Like, so if you're disrespectful in one area, it's gonna get back to somebody at the higher level. So.
And guys who played for me, right? My 07s, my 06s, my 08s, you guys had me for 3 years, right? I know I was all over you guys for a lot of these things, but right, because I'm trying to get you to here. Right? That's why I get on you guys about making sure this room is clean, making sure the locker room's clean. Right? So next year, next year we want to do camp, we're welcome back with open arms. But again, we're looking at those things. Right? We want people who want to be a part of our program, who are going to make our program better, represent our schools positively. Okay? Because we have bosses too. Okay? Right? Castrato's got to report to his head coach. That head coach has to report to the AD. That AD has to report to the president of the university. Okay? So if Cass screws up because a kid isn't a good kid, right? Cass or me recruit a kid that isn't a good kid, right? Now the AD comes knocking on the door, goes, what the heck, guys? Because you know who's knocking on the AD's door? The president of the university going, what the heck? Right? So again, we want good people above all else. Good people who do the right thing, who want to come in, be good teammates, right? Help each other get better. Does that make sense? All right. Yep.
Another thing to touch on too, when we talked about like worrying about yourself and whatnot, I know for me specifically, like that was my biggest thing, like growing up. Like I made that mistake. I was looking at where everybody else was going. A lot of my friends, like when I was first going away to prep school, were committed to Division I schools and getting drafted into the NHL and stuff. And I remember my first year of prep school, when I played at Cushing, our entire team was committed to Division I. I think there was 4 kids, including myself, that weren't committed to a Division I school. And I remember being in and out of the lineup, being the 7th defenseman. I remember at a tournament that we had, talking. I didn't play. I was in the stands. I remember talking to one of my old coaches who he's the head coach of the Titans of the North American League. And he said something that stuck with me forever, is being a big fish in a small pond. So like, you know, you guys always want to play for the best team and play with the best guys. At the end of the day, it's not always about that. So like when I left Cushing, I think I played 13 games. You know, being there, I spoke to a few Division I schools and D3 schools, and I decided then to leave because I wanted to play. Everybody wants to play, so that's why I decided to go to Canterbury. And it wasn't a top school, but I knew the schedule was awesome. You played Salisbury, Dexter, and all the kids that I played against. You know, Mac Coronado, John Farinacci, they're all drafted playing in the NHL. Majority of those kids were out playing Division I. And I remember we only won I think 4 games out of the 20 games that we had or whatever. But like, you know, for me, for myself, I was the captain of the team, and I like led our team like by example and stuff like that. Word gets out, I led our team in goals and assists, and it didn't matter playing for a bad team because I still got schools talking to me. I still got looks from North American teams, NCDC teams. So like my biggest thing that like I realized real quick is that like it really doesn't matter what everybody else is doing, because if you're doing that big fish in a small pond and you're doing your job correctly, you're gonna get seen. Like they're gonna find you. Like, it's just how it works.
The important thing, guys, is that you play, right? I made this point, but like, I'll use for example, like I a couple years ago I was the assistant coach for the NCDC team as well, right? Like I wasn't playing because of COVID in the coast. My team got canceled. So these 3 guys, they played for me and Mike Marcoux, right? So they all could have played the North American League. Mancini did, Dom and Ant very well could have played the North American League, right? But just because you're there doesn't mean you're going to play, right? So you need to focus on where you're going to play the most, because if you play, you play in an NCDC, you could play in the North American League, but you're in and out of the lineup, you're not playing a lot, and you're a top player in the NCDC, well, guess what? Like, schools are going to be able to see you play as opposed to you sitting in the stands, right? You're going to the snack bar to get something as opposed to being on the ice. So it's important to realize that just because your friend is playing in the North American League or USHL, whatever it might be, he's playing prep school, right? If it's not the right path for you, if you're not going to go there, you're not going to play, you're not going to perform, and then in that, going off that, you're not going to be seen by anyone.
That's exactly what happened to me. Like I said, I was the first ever drafted to Denver. Like first round, first everything. I did not play. It did not matter. I went there. I was, you're told all the tools. You're told that you're gonna be well and you're gonna fit in well and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. It's a business. Trades, guys getting sent off. I remember my first week there, we traded I think 6 kids. Like, it does not matter, and that's why I decided I came to play with Ryder's coaching and stuff, because like at the end of the day, it wasn't for me. Like, I wasn't gonna sit around and wait half the year to be in and out of the lineup. Like, there's only 2 years of juniors when I turned 20. So like, it doesn't matter. You gotta play. And it doesn't matter what happens. Guys that get tendered all the time, everyone's like, oh, I want to get tendered, I want to get drafted. It doesn't mean anything. I knew kids that were committed to Division I schools that got tendered by Denver. We had a kid that was going to Providence, a kid BU, and a kid BC. They all got cut out of camp. It doesn't mean anything. If you don't perform and you don't play, it won't mean anything.
Yeah, I guess, and that's why, again, emphasizing the year getting better is so huge. Alright, I think let's open up some questions here, then we'll get you guys skating. Any questions that your parents sent you with? Anything that you guys heard, liked, didn't like?
Touched on a lot, guys. Like, this is for you, right? So if you have any questions at all, any points you want to bring up, like, this is an open floor.
There's no bad questions. It's not you're gonna get like make fun of it or whatever. Like, we all went through the same thing. We all sat in like your seat, went to college camps, and felt like you were asking a stupid question, but it's not. It's not a stupid question.
Give me one. Give me a question. Someone give me a question.
Tough crowd. Tough crowd.
Alright. Does this all make sense to you guys? Let me ask you this, did you guys hear things today that you didn't know? Yeah. Okay. Right? Again, the big thing is, right, I know some of it's like, wow. Okay. Right? Again, that's why it's gotta be between you and your parents and your family, right? Whether or not you really wanna do this. Ben, let's do it. Perfect.
What's like a good GPA you should aim for? Like,
Well, I would say if you want to make your life real easy, get A's. Now look, I'm gonna be honest with you, and this is something my dad and my parents always taught me, and I think this is a good way for parents to look, right? Me and my sister are straight A students, okay? Right? As long as me and my sister apply ourselves, we are straight A students, okay? Not everyone in the world is a straight A student, and that's okay. Okay, parents, it's important that you understand this, okay? If you need help in something, go get help. But if your highest potential is getting B's, yes, right? You work hard to get B's, that's okay. But if you're a B student and you're getting D's because you're not working hard or you're not getting extra help and you're not trying to get the best grades you can get, that's when it's a problem. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay? Because again, if I came home with a C, my dad would be like, what's the deal? Because if I was getting C's, it meant I wasn't trying. So as long as you're working hard to get what your potential is, right? Or maybe I got a C and I didn't understand something, but then I didn't go to the teacher to get help because I was too afraid or embarrassed to ask. Well, that's a problem. You understand? So if you're struggling in something, get help. If the best of what you got is B's, that's okay, right? There's schools for that. Okay, does that make sense, Ben? Ben, you're a smart kid. I expect you to get A's. I know your mom expects you to get A's, because as long as you work just a little bit, Ben, you're gonna get A's. Okay? That's Ben. Okay? Right? Someone in here may be a B student and work really hard to get B's. Congratulations, you're doing a really good work. Okay? Does that make sense? So you should be striving to get the highest of your potential and looking to get help in any way you can, okay, in order to get the best grades possible, right? So with that being said, Ben, I guess the best answer to that question is you gotta just make sure you're getting the highest of your potential, and there will be fits and schools that fit your grades and GPA accordingly, right? For the guys that didn't get to come to Stony Brook this year, honestly, even if we got them into the school, they probably would have struggled once they were in the school, and if they're struggling in the classroom, that usually spills over to on the ice because it's a stressful thing. Does that make sense? So there's a school out there for everyone, guys. It's about finding that right fit.
And I will say to that too, like for me personally, I was never a good student. I remember my first year of prep school, like to be honest, when I was at Cushing, I think I had like a 2.8. Like I was my GPA my first year of prep school. I had D's and C's. It was horrible. But like I was like, oh, it's my first year. Like who cares? Doesn't matter. I'm lucky that I'm even able to play at Stony Brook. You know, I eventually got my GPA back up to like the 3.0 range, but it all actually depicted on my SAT. Like if I didn't do well on my SAT, I wouldn't have been able, you know, to do it. And the biggest thing, like throughout prep school, is that like you're a lot of the things are handed to you. You have all the tools, all the resources. Everyone's like sitting right there next to you. So in a way, it wasn't a good thing for me because like everything was kind of handed to you. So when I went away for my next 2 years, it was a breeze because it was like, okay, like I actually put some effort in, not 100%. And now, even at Stony Brook, it's an extremely difficult school. Like you're on your own. Like I know, like I sit down for hours and like I'm doing homework, and I work another job aside from, you know, playing hockey and going to school. Like it is difficult, and like just to keep up, like you have to teach yourself a lot of the times too. So like you gotta always use the resources you have, because I'm telling you, you'll fall behind so quick, and you'll be like you're screwed at that point because it's like you're done.
Guys, you work. I'm very fortunate to have gone where I went to school, right? But I got in and I was always a very good student, didn't have any issues with whatever. I could go home, I could read something, and I would memorize it, right? I got to school, I struggled. It was tough. Like I had to work really hard to get grades, but the one thing at school was, like Coach said, you have enough resources where you can get the help, right? If you're struggling in an aspect, get help. If you're struggling in math, right, get a tutor. I was struggling in econ at school. I had enough resources and I really had to dig deep, and I was like, you know what, I need help. I went and asked for it and I got the help. So if you need it, get help, take it. Because everybody wants to help you guys get to the highest level that you want to get to, the best school that you can get to. If you need help with something, ask. There's enough people around that will do the right thing and want to help you guys out.
Yeah, teachers out, like as you get older, like I know in high school, I've found some teachers who, if you do bad on a test, they're gonna come to you, they're gonna be like, hey, what's going on, do you need help with anything? Like, once you get to college, like you're on your own to make that decision. Like, you know, classes are huge, you can have lecture classes over 100 people. Your teacher's not gonna sit and say, hey, why you're failing? Like, what's going on, why are you failing tests? It's up to you to make the like grown-up decision to be mature. Sit back and say, wow, like I'm struggling, like I don't know what I'm doing. Whether it's going to the teacher, going to tutors, or whatever it is, like that aspect of like kind of being on your own, like you kind of have to push yourself to be like, hey, like I need this. You're not gonna just get it handed to you anymore.
Any other questions? Got one, just have to get one. Anything else, guys? Okay, alright, so that's it for today, guys, right? Okay, hopefully, again, you guys learned some stuff, alright?